In 1970, in The Dialectic of Sex, Shulamith Firestone wrote, "The heart of woman's oppression is her childbearing and child-rearing role. The contradiction between motherhood and liberation has been a key to feminist thinking. Indeed, motherhood as a symbol, the subjugation of the self to the needs of others, is the antithesis of liberation. The heart of woman's oppression is her childbearing and child-rearing role. The contradiction between motherhood and liberation has been a key to feminist thinking. Indeed, motherhood as a symbol, the subjugation of the self to the needs of others, is the antithesis of liberation." I've come to write about motherhood because of the profound ambivalence I feel about being a mother to my two small children. The unexpected passion and joy, and the physical attachment on one side, and on the other the relentless obligation and necessity to respond, which has deprived me of my own direction and brought the fear that I myself would be extinguished. Feminists should not ignore the great pleasures of intimacy, meandering slowly through time with small children, and the fascination in watching them in their heroic struggle to grow up. But there must be a lack of reciprocity in this relationship of giving without counting the cost. This cathexis between mother and daughter, essential, distorted, misused, is the great unwritten story. Probably there is nothing in human nature more resonant with charges than the flow of energy between two biologically alike bodies, one of which has lain in amniotic bliss inside the other, one of which has laboured to give birth to the other. The materials are here for the deepest mutuality and the most painful estrangement. Margaret Mead offers the possibility of deep biochemical affinities between the mother and female child, and contrast between the mother and the male child of which we now know nothing. Yet this relationship between the mother and daughter has been minimized and trivialized in the annals of patriarchy. Whether in theological doctrine or art or sociology or psychoanalytical theory, it is the mother and son who appear as the eternal, determinative dyad. Should women demand special working conditions for mothers? Can a childcare campaign attack anything fundamental to women's oppression? Should women's struggle be concentrated on economic issues? Is domestic labour productive? Is the division of labour the root of the problem? Is exploitation outside the home better than oppression within it? Should women organise themselves separately from men? Could there be a social revolution in which women do not play the leading role? Is patriarchy the main enemy for women? Does the oppression of women work on the unconscious as well as the conscious? What would a politics of the unconscious be like? How necessary is being a mother to women, in reality or imagination? The maternal body. Cells fuse, split, proliferate, volumes grow, tissues stretch, and body fluids, rhythms change, speeding up and slowing down. Within the body, growing as a graft, indomitable, there is an other, and no one is present within that simultaneously dual and alien space to signify what is going on. It happens, but I'm not there. I cannot realize it, but it goes on. This is motherhood's impossible syllogism. This becoming a mother, this gestation, can possibly be accounted for only by means of two discourses. There is science, but as an objective discourse, science is not concerned with the subject, the mother as site of her proceedings. There is Christian theology, but theology defines maternity only as an impossible elsewhere, a sacred beyond, a vessel of divinity, a spiritual tie with the ineffable Godhead. Such are the wiles of Christian reason. Through the maternal body, it thus establishes a sort of subject, at the point where the subject and its speech split apart, fragment, and vanish. If it is not possible to say of a woman what she is, without running the risk of abolishing her difference, would it perhaps be different concerning the mother, since that is the only function of the other sex to which we can definitely attribute existence? And yet there too we are caught in a paradox. First, we live in a civilization where the consecrated representation of femininity is absorbed by motherhood. If, however, one looks at it more closely, this motherhood is the fantasy that is nurtured by the adult man or woman of a lost territory. What is more, it involves less an idealized archaic mother than the idealization of the relationship that binds us to her, one that cannot be localized, an idealization of primary narcissism. Now, when feminism demands a new representation of femininity, it seems to identify motherhood as that idealized misconception, and because of it, it rejects the image in its misuse. Feminism circumvents the real experience that fantasy overshadows. The result? A negation or rejection of motherhood by some avant-garde feminist groups. Or else the acceptance, conscious or not, of its traditional representations by the great mass of people, men and women.